Now, with 49 episode reviews, how do we get the number 52? If you saw my Secret of the OMNITRIX breakdown, you'll know that the movie was written to be a 3-part episode series finale that Cartoon Network instead turned into a movie. So that movie can fill in for the final 3 episodes, bringing that number up to a 52. Great, right? Well, that still begs the question, where exactly does it fit into the timeline? Production-wise, Secret of the OmniTrix is at the start of Season 4. With US airing order, it comes in the middle. Yet, there's a lot of evidence from the writers that suggests it's supposed to go at the end. So, which is it? Let's bring in someone who's dedicated a lot of time to figuring out the Ben 10 timeline and has been helping me out with all of the Ben 10 roadmap segments throughout these breakdowns.
Yo, it's Matt. Been a pleasure helping out with the road trip segments on the breakdown series, just as much of a pleasure as it's been to watch. By complete happenstance, when Rob was starting up this series, I had just finished up the original series segment of the Ben 10 timeline doc I've been working on, including the Cartoon Network Action Pack titles. I'll eventually have my own video sorting out which ones fit in canon, as well as a more in-depth look at the road trip as a whole. One point of early contention that came up, I remember in the breakdowns, I think there was even a poll about it. It was essentially airing order versus production order versus the order kind of under a unified theory. Airing order is pretty straightforward. That's just how the show came out as the network decided they wanted to roll it out. Production order, while not entirely strict to this, usually works as the creator's intentions of how the show is made to be viewed. This is more so the case with Omniverse than anything else, and is kind of the only case within the franchise that's been, pretty overt. But even then, there's some mistakes within that. When I say unified theory, that's essentially kind of the doctrine of the timeline doc I've been doing. Within the franchise, we have written real-world retcons, things writers do, and then we have actual in-universe retcons, things that are confirmed to happen because of celestial sapiens. Nothing is more indicative of the puzzle at hand than trying to answer just a simple question like, what episode did iGuy debut in? If you look it up on the wiki, at least at the time of recording, it lists both Secret of the OmniTrix and Ben 10 versus the -10, depending on where you look. When it comes to Ben 10, you're going to find a lot of trivia and details that individually count as facts, but that altogether can't logistically all be true. Take trivia from the OS pop-up specials, for example. They seem to treat Race Against Time as canon, they depict Bizel as not a person but a place, and along with the I-10 special, they seem to assert that Secret of the OmniTrix is intended to be the original series finale, with -10 having taken place prior. There's also one specifically written in the context of the then yet to be aired at that time Alien Force that hints at retcons completely against what the original series just established. These are individually facts that work on their own, but fall apart when you take the greater context into account. Because it's also true that Secret of the OmniTrix was produced and aired far before -10, that Soto was the audience's introduction to iGuy, and could be argued might have been Ben's first time ever using the transformation. Season 1 establishes that Ben has turned into most all of the original 10 for the first time off-screen, of course aside from the first 3 we see in his debut episode. Simply put, Ben gains familiarity with them prior to the audience's introduction.
Hey, I said rip jaws, not accelerate! Stupid watch!
Going forward, however, we see each and every additional alien's first ever transformation on screen. In Soto versions Red and Blue, you hear Gwen throw generic insult names at Heat Blast and Accelerate respectively.
Hey, hothead! Hey, crazy legs!
But Gold suggests that Ben ran with Gwen's joke name for iGuy.
Hey, iGuy!
Furthermore, Gwen's line about Ben not knowing what that's going to do gains a new context considering she'd be referring to Ben arrogantly running in headfirst with an alien that he's never used before. This serves to enrich the central conflict of the film, Ben being a hero for the right reasons, and it puts more responsibility on Ben. Were he just using Heat Blast or Accelerate, it'd be just random chance that the bomb triggered the SDM sequence, since he's had plenty of experience with Heat Blast and Accelerate from the very beginning. With iGuy being brand new, there's a possibility that Ben shared some responsibility in what could eventually spell doom for the universe. Addressing further context, if you order it -10 and then Soto Gold, that makes iGuy the only additional unlocked for the first time off screen. Not a huge deal, it's just a bit weird, but it gets even weirder. He just debuts with no pomp and circumstance in -10, with Ben using him pretty competently, I'd say. And then in Soto Gold, Ben seems to fumble with him in a very first transformation transformation feeling sequence where they actually bother to name drop him. It makes even less sense if you don't consider Soto Gold the canon version amidst the 3 alternate openings. Now, does Soto as a whole act better tonally as an ending to the original series than something like -10? Sure, I'd agree, but OS has like 5 total different endings that you can choose from if you really want to. In the greater context of things, the order being Soto Gold and then -10 and then Destroy All Aliens, arguably maybe an even better ending than -10, just has more evidence behind it. Under a unified theory, some facts are more true than others because not all of them can coexist. Happy breakdown to you guys. Can't wait to see what comes next. It's hero time.
Thanks again for putting that together, Matt. So to put that simply, it makes the most sense to put Secret of the Omnitrix somewhere in the middle of Season 4, around where it aired, and considering that be iGuy's first appearance. And I gotta say, it really does make the most sense for iGuy's opening to be the canon one. And in fact, when I made the opening comparison video over on the Rust Bucket, many people in the comments didn't even know there were alternative openings. And in fact, some people only saw the Accelerate opening, or only saw the iGuy opening. So at least for me, as an American, simply saying the Heat Blast opening is the definitive canon because that's the one I saw and everything else was an alternative version, that doesn't really seem fair. So I'm gonna keep Secret of the Omnitrix in its own category with all the other films. I will add those 3 numbers up to the counter to make it 52 just to keep things in line, but this isn't to say that I believe Secret of the Omnitrix does come after Season 4. I'm in the party that it's in the middle.